We can also talk about like how long I've known you for.
Yeah.
Like how long
We're gonna stray off it.
the relationship with Rinse Do and all that.
One of the things me and Rossi.
You don't want to talk about us, like me and you?
I can't even remember the first time, honestly.
Want to try Jam before we start?
Yeah. Do you want the headphones?
Yes.
Alright.
He asks me the same thing every episode. Yes, you know I want the headphones.
Just because, you know, it's outside, dude. I'm trying to monitor levels here, dude.
The wind's good though, it's not like fucking anything up.
Actually, sounds fine.
If you're worried about that,
I'm a little worried.
I ain't Chris Webby.
You don't drink Jameson?
Chris Webby does.
so are the Pale Boys.
I drink whatever for the most part. I've never had Jameson.
What? You should definitely take a shot of Jameson, like right now.
I like tequila.
I feel that. Really?
Whiskey does the
I feel like tequila takes away your boner.
Nah.
All alcohol takes away from your boner.
Yeah, right?
Tequila's the closest one to an aphrodisiac though.
Alright, let's talk about this on camera.
All right.
So I've been trying to figure out a fucking intro the entire time coming up here. Actually, I didn't realize I didn't have an intro until we got up here. And I was like, fuck, I don't have an intro. So we're just gonna get right the fuck into it. We're here in fucking, where we at? Naples?
Naples. The Golden Gate Estates.
Golden Gate Estates in the middle of nowhere. Pay Up Boys in the motherfucking building. Meet the Neighbors, episode 3. It's been a while. I've been trying to get this shit popping. We finally got my boy Ivan the Hippy on the fucking podcast.
Ivan.
Thank you for
I'm
coming
tiny.
through. Clap it
I'm
up for him,
tiny.
clap it up for him, clap it up for him. We're in the middle of nowhere, like I said, somewhere in Naples, at Ivan's crib, and what you said, the Golden Acre Estates.
Golden Gate Estates.
The Golden Gate Estates.
Everybody out here's got an acre.
The Golden Gate Estates. You can see if you're watching us, you can see the beautiful landscape in the background. We got Ivan's parents' big ass house. Actually, that's their guest house. They're actually their main house is to the left or right, depending on which way you're watching. I'm not sure, but it's a beautiful day. It is Thursday. This interview is taking place a little bit before Ivan's No Smoking video premiere and event tonight, where he'll be premiering his new video to No Smoking, shot by our boy Jake from Turtle Woods Productions.
Ooh.
Mama said I can't smoke here, so I'm leaving. What? Yeah, I'm leaving.
He'll also be doing a little special performance as well. That's why we're in Naples conducting this interview. Off the shits, off the Jameson. Ivan just took his first shot of Jameson ever, which is wild.
And it was ass. I'll stick with my tequila and Bud Light.
Take one for the fucking podcast.
We're gonna get drunk before the show.
I could have even never taken Jameson before.
Nah, bro.
Never.
Nah, I'm not a big alcohol person.
That's why I was telling Rossi, I was like,
Yeah, definitely not.
I don't even know if I've ever even had a drink with you. I know I've never gotten drunk with you for sure.
Nah,
I know I've gotten drunk around you.
You have.
We were talking about that. Oxford, Miami. My girl had to carry me outside of Oxford, Miami.
Legendary stuff.
I hope nobody important is listening to this because I'm supposed to be professional at Oxford.
Legendary
I got super
stuff.
fucking wasted that night. That's the most wasted I ever got at any event.
Your girl's the
Ever
MVP
again.
though. She came through with the bottle.
She did.
Yeah, I remember that
It
shit.
was actually low key her fault. I tell her all the time. I blame her for getting that drunk.
As she's sitting right there.
Yeah, she's sitting
Yeah,
right there. It's actually the first. It's actually kind of not awkward, cool / awkward because it's actually the first podcast or interview I've done with my girlfriend in the vicinity or in the building. Shout out to Young Joss.
Shout out Young Joss.
Shout her out.
Yo, what's up?
But we're here talking to Ivan. How you been, bro?
Chilling, dude. Working a fuck ton. I'm tired of shit right now.
You still got a real job?
Yeah, bro. Every day.
Still a broke rapper.
Still a broke rapper.
We're still broke.
Yeah.
Still have real jobs. Where do you work at?
I work at
Jose
Starbucks,
was
dog.
reluctant to throw that title out there.
I
He's
be
still,
slinging drinks all day at Starbucks. Bro.
Starbucks?
Yeah, bro. Manager.
Didn't Starbucks have like a controversy recently or something like that? Was that last year? Or was that something?
Yeah, and like I don't even know what state it was, but like they kicked like those two like dudes out for like, trying to
yeah,
or whatever.
And then young Dolph like
That was at Duke University, I think.
Yeah, Young Dolph.
And then Young
ended up
Dolph
giving
blessed
them,
him with like 150 grand a
Dude.
piece.
Yeah, and then
Dolph a real
what
one.
was it? Starbucks ended up like settling out with them too, and those dudes are super dope too because they didn't even like take that money; they like donated all that shit.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's something I
I don't know if they kept the
done.
money from Young Dolph or not, but they donated the settlement that they got from Starbucks. I know that.
Oh, all right, so they don't.
gotta-
They kept that Young Dolph money.
You
They
keep
probably
that Dolph.
did. They
They
probably
took
did.
that Young Dolph money out at Rolling Loud just that weekend. They probably blew half that shit just that weekend at Rolling Loud.
Easily.
And they just got into something too. I saw Starbucks like didn't like some like dude like. I saw something like a cop got a coffee, it's like pig on it or something like that, and he got like super offended or I don't know. And then someone that worked at I saw someone on Twitter was like, I worked at Starbucks and it's an automated some bullshit I saw on Twitter.
I don't think I can comment on that because I low key condone that, but whatever.
Calling the cop. all good. So how is it working a real job and being a rapper and balancing that lifestyle?
Very fucking difficult, especially like There's people who do like part-time gigs or whatever, but I'm working like 40 hours a week on top of like, so I want to say like a month ago is when I went back to the studio to start recording like, you know, like everything that I'm going to be dropping this year. And I was waking up every day at 9 o'clock in the morning, going to the studio, leaving the studio at 12, and then clocking in to work at 1, getting off at 10. And like I did that for 5 days in a row. But it's not hard to balance. Like I guess like the hardest thing about it is just like never like feeling like you're getting adequate sleep.
Yeah. And sleep is very important. As if you didn't know that.
Well, it's important for mental health. Yes,
definitely. I was just stressing to Rossi because this guy likes to fucking. I can't even explain what his sleep schedule's like. He fucking he'll wake up, he'll pull a fucking all-nighter and then sleep all day and then be up all day and sleep all night, and then the next day he's doing the opposite and the next day he's doing the same thing. Like, I can't even keep up with this guy. I'll text him at 10. He might not answer me at 10 p.m. But we were just talking about how important sleep is and all that stuff. But so I always like to ask people who work regular jobs, I just like to call them regular shitty jobs that we don't want to be working at, and are creators on the side.
Hell yeah.
As I am, as Ross used to be. He's fortunate to have to work a job anymore. But
good shit.
Lucky guy.
Good shit.
But I always like to ask people how they balance their things because it gets extremely stressful. It gets extremely tiring. It's hard. It's tough to do both when you fucking work 10 hours at a job and then come home and have to fucking chase your fucking passions. You don't really still feel motivated sometimes. You don't have the energy, or you're just downright just tired. So I always like to ask people that. But anyway, who is Ivan the Hippie? Before we get this interview started, who's Ivan the Hippie?
Who is he?
Let the people know. If anybody doesn't know who is he, you are listening or watching, who's Ivan the Hippie? What do you represent as an artist?
Ivan the Hippie is the rapping happy hippie. I try to like instill a vibe of, not that you can't that you can't be sad or anything, but like I definitely try to like instill a vibe that, you know, mindfulness is very important. I don't like to like talk down on anything really, but there's definitely like a lot of shit that's like being like thrown out there from like the industry that isn't necessarily like leading people down like the right path, which isn't to say that like things that people are talking about like in the music industry isn't something that they're actually going through, you know. But I think that like my mission is kind of like trying to change the whole like music industry as a whole. I know that's like a really like crazy like endeavor or whatever, but I think like it's really like these record labels like jobs to make sure that their artists are like mentally like stable and like okay, and like they can do drugs, you know, because like I do drugs, like that's just like that's kind of like a thing that people go through like with like in and out of their own lives and all of that. But like when it becomes a problem, like it's more important for these record labels to push the music out and like let these artists continue to do their drugs to the point where they're dying, like versus like, oh, like maybe we should like take a step back for 6 months, you know, and then like we'll come back to this like when you're in a better mind state, because like we're worried about your well-being versus like the dollar sign that's like hanging above your head because you have a project to drop or some shit.
Yeah, and I've heard other artists say that. I know Wale's talked about that a lot, about having like the record label should provide therapy and therapists for their artists and mental state, and with I'm not gonna say mental health is the reason why a lot of artists have been passing, because there's been various reasons why artists have been passing, but it does seem like mental health and drug use is a very big topic when it comes to musicians nowadays, especially the younger generation, because you do see a lot of these young kids, even not just young kids, but a lot of people in general in the music industry abusing drugs, and drug use is very high. It's just like a thing that it's not really frowned. It's becoming frowned upon in the industry, but it's also not frowned upon. Like, it's almost accepted. It's like frowned upon, but it's accepted.
It's almost expected nowadays. You know, like I think the other day we just saw the like Mac Miller like come out with like they're gonna be like doing a whole posthumous like album and all of that, you know.
Dropping Circles, which is like the they didn't say it's a sequel. Like, they kind of explained it as well, like as a second part. I guess
companion album is what they say.
Like a partner album to what Swimming was. So
and I really appreciate the way that they're going about it, because they're not trying to like they literally like at the end of their statement they said like this is the only like promotion that we're gonna be like using on Mac Miller's account. If you want like any more updates, follow his charity account. And I think that's huge, because a lot of these record labels are just trying to like squeeze more money out of like, you know, like
as much as every last penny as they can out of the artists until after they're dead.
Yeah, and even after they're dead, they still try to do a little bit more.
So being from Naples, in your background, what was it like growing up here as a kid? Like, talk about your parents. Where they from? What do they do for a living? And what was it like being from Naples? Because like I said before, me and Ross here from South Florida. We grew up there our entire life.
Y'all are from the city, city boys.
And the funny thing about it is like where we live is not really considered the city. Where we live is actually considered the suburbs of like Broward County and I guess
that's Miami. That shit, bro. I be in Miami all the time, and I'm like, yo, you live in Miami? They're like, nah, I live in Kendall. Nah, I live in Broward. Like, they get so mad. Like when you say like, oh, you're from
different.
Miami? They're like, nah, bro, I'm not from Miami.
If
Yeah,
you
so, like-
use like Miami to describe all of South Florida, like you're
Yeah,
ignorant.
but you're clearly not from there, obviously. But growing up in Naples, like, bro, this is a retirement like city. There's nothing but like old fucking white people who have like a shit ton of money. This is the Golden Gate Estates. It's not really like an estate area like with like mansions and shit, but I bet I would venture to say in 20 years like they're gonna gentrify this area too and like push all the poor people out. That's kind of like the whole gig like in this area. But it's a very conservative place. There wasn't a music scene like when I first started getting into music. Dominic Fike really like paved the way like within like the last couple of years, like him getting signed. Like there's more opportunities now for people to like get their voice out in the community. It's still nothing like Miami, Orlando, Tampa, like the music scenes that are bubbling out there, but there are some owned like what is it called, mom and pop shops that are starting to like really get behind the music scene because they're seeing how not only it can be monetized and like benefit their business, but it's something really unique to do in like a very conservative area. I remember like a couple years back when Underviews was really like doing this shit. Like, dude, it was wild. We were doing like shows in like warehouses, and like Collier County Sheriff's Department was literally like dispatching a helicopter. Like there was literally a helicopter like outside the warehouse. There's like 30-40 cop cars like right outside. They're like, and it was.
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, you know, and it's crazy too because we're in an industrial area where like there's no sound ordinances or anything, and like people are doing shit like that all over the place, but because this area is so conservative, the police department was literally like looking out for our flyers, and they were just crashing our events to shut them down because they don't want like things like that in this area, because that drives the really big bucks away, because then all the old white people don't want to like pull through and like die here.
People don't want rap shows going on.
Nah,
the street
definitely
or
not.
next to their businesses.
They don't want rap
houses
shit
or anything
because
like that.
it's like affiliated with like violence and like dumb shit, you know.
Mhm.
But my parents too. My parents both work for the county here. When I was growing up, I wasn't born in Naples. I was born in Virginia. My dad was in the military, so I traveled around a lot, and that's kind of like what affected me a lot as a kid and like made me who I am, because I got to experience a broad range of like cultures growing up, because my dad got stationed in Guam for 4 years, and I was able to like explore like the Pacific and like Japan and Australia and like a whole bunch of other like just really like broad range of cultures, and seeing how selfless some cultures can be, because you know, they're not in this country. Like there's a lot of cultures out there that don't have a lot of money, and they'll give you everything because that's all that they have, and it's very beautiful. But then like coming back here, it was like a culture shock, because people were always like, they're just all about money, and like they don't have any time to waste or anything like that. So it's like, oh, like, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm good. And it's like this like whatever like script or whatever. Like when I was living in Guam, I lived there for 4 years. It's an island out in the Pacific.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Yeah, bro, super tiny. It's a U.S. territory.
Right.
But
it's like the
I just
military
learned- I
base
just
is the
learned where
main
Guam actually was,
draw
like,
of the
yeah,
island.
yeah.
I just
And
learned where
yeah,
that
people
actually
who go
was.
there, like the tourists, like the tourist market is like all Asian. Like Asian people go there
Right.
a lot for like vacation and stuff.
Opposed
But-
to like a Hawaiian vacation, they
Yeah.
go to Guam. I've heard
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's cheaper.
Yeah, but a lot of people out there, like the natives, they're just so selfless, and they really resemble Hispanic people. So like their skin color is like darker, and me and my sister, like we stuck out like sore thumbs. Like we'd be on the beach and shit, but like people would come up to us and be like, "Yo, cuz, like it's my brother's birthday. Like come over like to our tent that we have. Like we got some chamoy punch, some fried rice, like all of this stuff. Like come eat with us, you know."
Oh,
That sounds
And then
fire.
like, you know, you pull up to this tent and stuff, and their house is behind it, but like what their house is like this dilapidated like sheet metal like
Shack.
structure thing, you know. And so like it resonated with me like in like second through like fourth grade, that like, wow, these people literally like have nothing, but their hearts are so big and like warm that like, and they don't have anywhere to go, you know. They're on this tiny 3 mile by like 12 mile island. So like what else are you gonna do except for have a good time and like appreciate like whatever's around you, you know. But my parents are super conservative. Like growing up, I was kept in a box. I wasn't allowed to watch like Cartoon Network growing up,
You told
bro.
me.
I wasn't allowed to watch like Ed, Edd and Eddie. Like Cat Dog was like off limits.
I
Like
thought my mom was strict. She
Yeah,
didn't
bro.
watch
Cat
wrestling.
Dog
yeah,
was
bro.
off
I wasn't allowed to watch
Cat
Cat
Dog
Dog.
was off
Courage,
limits. What's
Courage the
Cat
Cowardly Dog.
Cat
Wasn't allowed to
Dog?
watch that shit.
He
Yeah,
was
bro.
just
I
half
don't
a
know.
cat, half a dog.
I don't know,
dude.
bro. I don't know,
The
man.
mutation.
My parents were trying to censor everything that was like coming into my eyes as a kid. And
Wow, I thought my parents were fucking uptight.
yeah, so in high school I really started rebelling, and they've always like supported me with everything that I've done. So in high school I asked for like, you know, a mic, a fucking interface, and
Yeah,
just like a
the
little
setup.
program to do whatever, you know, and they gave it to me. And I don't at first it kind of felt like they were regretting it, but over the past couple of years too, just with like, you know, the little like wave that I've been creating and stuff like with my music, and them coming out to some of my shows and seeing how I'm trying to do it differently than like most typical rap artists these days.
Right.
It's just they're a lot more behind me now, which is why like we're able to be here, like using their fucking property and like all of the things that I have now. I'm
That's
very
sick.
blessed.
Shout out to your parents.
Shout out to my parents.
So when you started off rapping, you weren't Ivan Hippy. You were just going by your regular
Oh
name.
God,
right?
no,
Ivan
not
Magani.
even. When I first started rapping, I was a freshman in high school, and I went by the name XD.
Why XD?
Because
the
fucking
like an
symbol,
emoji.
bro. Yeah, literally, bro. That's why. It was literally before like emojis were like super popping, you know. And,
Like the face.
Yeah, my YouTube channel was XD is going far. Like it was some like corny shit.
I mean,
bro.
honestly, that's kind of
You
wavy
gotta
early on
start-
because like
that's kinda
like,
wavy.
a lot of people's names like that nowadays, like super simple, super things you could just kind of search,
Yeah.
like just type in one thing and you can get this, you can find their search already. Like
Yeah.
like names like I know it's like a perfect name, but like Snot, like a name like that. Like you just search Snot, it's gonna come up. Or like XD is one of those things. Like if you can get enough like traction under that
Yeah.
XD, people are gonna recognize it.
Yeah.
Like
I had no idea what I was
Yeah.
doing then, so there was no traction happening then.
XD.
XD. So you start rapping as XD in
Yeah.
you said freshman year, which is
Yeah.
around what year?
That's hard.
2010.
2010 freshman
yeah.
year. And then so you go from there. You start out. You're out here in Naples.
Yeah.
What was your mindset starting out, not knowing what the fuck you were doing? Your parents are kind of uptight on you. You just asked for a mic. You're living in the middle of nowhere, so there's not much of a music scene yet going on. So what were you thinking about back then? And what were you thinking back then? And where were you thinking you could take it?
I was just trying to be like the biggest copycat in the fucking world.
Which is
like,
most people starting out.
Yeah. I was just, whatever I really liked about a certain artist or whatever, I would just like always try to emulate that. And we having some technical difficulties here, but I would just try to emulate like whatever I heard. My favorite artist at the time was Drake, and then another artist that I really liked and that I still really like now. He way back in the day he went by D Pride, but now he goes by this artist named Russell.
Is he an Asian dude?
Yeah, he's fucking fire. If you ever peep Russell, bro, this guy's about to come up. You about to see like the most fire Asian rapper of the century.
I remember D Pride. I used to follow a lot of blogs that would post like futuristic D Pride.
Yeah,
like,
dude, futuristic.
those,
Yeah,
like,
I came up like
backpack rap
watching all of those
type
people.
shit.
Yeah, G-Eazy. That was my first concert that I ever went to, bro.
Real underground when I started.
G-Eazy was the
following him,
first
yeah.
concert I ever fucking went to. It was at the local 662 in St. Pete with like 200 people.
Yeah.
And then like 5 years later, I saw him at Lollapalooza in a crowd of like 50,000, and it was just
Yeah.
like
Crazy.
mind blowing,
yeah,
bro. Like
seen him
seeing,
at like Revolution.
Yeah,
with, like,
bro,
no one there.
and in a time as little as like 5 years, like back then it felt like the longest time ever, but like 5 years
To
is
really
like,
break it down.
5 years is a
years.
blip,
Yeah.
like that happens like that nowadays. What the fuck is that dog doing, dog?
Achilles is over here in the background attacking Jocelyn.
Achilles.
He's digging holes, bro.
Get it together over there.
Yeah.
But nah, like
get it together over there, yo.
my whole gig when I first started rapping was just trying to like emulate whatever I heard, and then I started seeing like what that was doing to like the youth, and like what they thought was cool and like what they glorified, and like I couldn't fuck with that because I'd never been through like that sort of like struggle that like people have been through, that they talk about and all of that. Like I've had this cookie cutter life. Like I've never been hungry. I've never like had to experience like any sort of like
Right.
poverty and stuff. So like it was inauthentic for me to talk about things that I wasn't experiencing. So I started switching it up, and that's when I started like changing my name to my actual name, which was Ivan Magani. I want to say that was probably like my senior year, like a little bit into college and stuff like that. And it was just really, I was still trying to emulate like the flows and like the things that were like popular about rap music, but I was really talking about things that were like different, like yo, like take care of yourself, like listen to your thoughts, and like your mind is a domain that like you need to like protect at all costs. And yeah, life is going to suck, but like what can you do to make it better? And like that's the number one thing I'd probably like say like for me is like, if you're complaining about something and you're not doing anything to change that situation that you're complaining about, like shut the fuck up. Like don't say anything, because I don't have respect for that. Like if you're in a tough situation and you're trying to do something about it, but like nothing's changing, like yeah, you do have that little bit of entitlement to where like you can complain about the situation, like because it's not going your way and you are trying to do things differently and stuff. But if you're doing the same shit like Monday through Friday and you're still questioning why like shit's not changing, it's because you're doing the same shit Monday through Friday.
Facts.
Facts.
That's a fact.
I find it interesting that
It's a cold, hard fact.
It is. It's a cold hard fact.
Cold, hard facts from
Coors
Ivan.
Light's cold hard fact.
Yeah, bro.
Yo. We don't have any cores.
No, we don't. Coors is nasty. What we're drinking Bud Light. Well, I got the last Corona.
Let me grab that Bud Light. Pass that on down.
I find it interesting that you said you actually you bring light to the fact that you the whole saying like I don't have a cookie cutter lifestyle, I've never been hungry, and yada yada. Which I've actually, I mean, like most people. I feel like a lot of rappers, a lot of artists nowadays seem like it feels like they have to like kind of portray a certain type of lifestyle, a struggle, or they feel like people are not gonna fuck with them. Yeah. And while the main social media does kind of like to call a lot of artists out for their backgrounds, where they come from, I think there's a lot of artists that.
Yeah, I ain't trying to be Vanilla Ice, bro.
Completely open with where they're from and their backgrounds. I think this with the way hip hop is set up now, you don't have to have a certain type of background to be a part of rap. You just have to, I think that if you're gonna have, if they want people, I think people respect anybody who has authenticity. Like if you're authentic. Yeah. And that's what I liked about your music from the get go. I realized authenticity and how real your shit was and how you really was out here trying to be yourself. Yeah. Just make this happy go lucky sound that it make people feel good. It makes me feel good when I hear your music. Like, and I see the crowd reaction when I see you perform. So,
bro, people always be hella judging. Like, it's the funniest thing because they're always like, yo, like this kid's gonna be fucking garbage, you know? Yeah. And then the beat drops and like I start like hitting a melody or something, and then they're like, oh shit, like this kid can like do some shit. Like it's absolutely crazy. The first Oxfords I went to, you know, and that warehouse, whatever, Cool at Cam was there and everything. Yeah. That was actually the first time I played No Smoking. I don't even how long ago was that?
A minute ago.
Yeah, so I've had that song for a minute, you know.
Actually, less than 2 years ago.
And like, yo, that crowd got lit. I went on tour with Richie Samo too, like a little bit around that time too, and we played at like the Coloring Book in Little Haiti, and it wasn't my demographic at all, you know. Completely different market, and like Richie Samo's in like a whole different like subgenre of rap, but like I got that crowd into it, you know, just by like a little bit of like shock factor. Like people don't really think like, hey, like this kid's gonna get on the mic and say some real shit, and like he's not, because like there's always like these rappers that are like getting up on the mic and like they're like, you know, like me, and they're talking about shit that like everyone's talking about, but then like I get up on the mic and like you can hear what I'm saying, and like it's a lot different, but it resonates because it's sort of a universal truth. Like I haven't gone through like any sort of like struggle monetary wise like growing up, but like my struggle, which is a lot of people's struggles these days, is my own mind, you know. And a lot of people are living outside of their own minds, like trying to compare what like other people have, but like, yo, like the reason why you're not happy is because you're not fighting yourself enough. Like you have to fight for happiness. You have to fight all of the negative thoughts that come through your head and like, you know, give them no sort of value, and like make sure that you give like all the value to the positive ones. And that's something that I really try to like let resonate with my music, is just being completely authentic, but also just like letting people know that like, yo, there is a struggle. It's not like any sort of like money or anything. It's just like your own mind. Like you have to wake up and choose to be happy, because it's a choice at the end of the day.
Amen. Big facts.
Yeah.
Cold hard facts.
So you start off as Ivan Magana, XD, then you go to Ivan Magana, then you switch to Ivan the Hippie. You dropped the album called Ivan the Hippie, right?
Yeah.
What was that? What was that album about? And where would you see yourself at?
That was kind of like a reflection of my upbringing. Like
that was when?
That was last year around March. But that whole like the whole writing process for that project was probably like, I think the oldest song on there was like 1.5 years old. So now it's probably like 2.5 years old. So it was a lot of music like spanning over like 1.5 years, and that I kind of just like picked out and like formed this narrative around and everything. And my whole life growing up, like my parents are pulling up. Hi, Dad. My whole life growing up, like I didn't have like any sort of issues, like, you know, monetarily wise, like I talk about. And with like my project that I dropped, it was mostly about my parents being super conservative, and then like the fact that my parents have stayed together my whole entire life, which is like a very like super rarity in today's society, because the divorce rates are like through the roof and all that shit. My struggle was trying to emulate that relationship with every girl that I ever like dated, came into contact with, and
which is not possible.
Not possible, no. Like that's something that's super rare, you know. Like, and it took me a really long time to realize that, but that created this like huge like struggle within myself. So like the first track kind of introduces like, you know, the constraints of like my whole like box that I was put in by my parents, and then me like breaking out of that box, and then like by the end of it, it's me like trying to discover what true happiness is, which isn't like finding it in another person, but finding it in yourself. And then like all the people around you start popping up, and they kind of like are on the same wavelength as you, and then happiness just flourishes from there.
So you
Jose didn't listen to the project. Jose did not listen to it.
That's not true. He sent me a project. That was like when the time when we started.
I mean, there's a bunch of like sound bites in between the songs and like little interludes and stuff.
Just
and
me
I feel
talking
like
to myself. Yeah,
that is what like carries the narrative of the album more so for me. And like to hear you talk about it. Say what's up to your parents.
Hi, Dad.
Hello. But like to hear you talk about it, it makes more sense now. Like hearing it and then hearing like what you were trying to do with it. Like I definitely feel it.
Yeah.
It had a lot of direction. It was what 6 tracks, 5 tracks.
5 tracks. It was pretty small. Yeah. But I think like smaller projects, when you're like an artist of like this size, is better because if you have like a full length like project, people only listen to like the first 2 or 3 tracks and they're like, okay, I'm done with this shit.
That's a fact.
For sure.
Yeah.
Even
Unless you Drake.
No, even if it's good, people are gonna still gonna be like, oh, I'll listen to the rest later or whatever.
Because you're not Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're not Drake. You're just not gotta be Drake. So you dropped that project. This is around last year. I know you were working with Underviews, and your CV was managing you, and you worked with a couple around here. You want to talk about that situation or where you were right there? Because now you're in a different situation now.
Yeah.
And did it take some time to go through some bad situations because I feel like right now you're at your happiest. I know you personally. We talk on a weekly basis. I remember a year and a half ago, I know you were telling me you were down and things weren't going the way you were. I don't know if you say you were down, but things weren't going the way you were doing.
Life sucked this time last year.
Things weren't going the way you were going. And I feel like that's the case for a lot of my friends. I feel like a lot of friends, even myself, like a lot of my friends I talked to, including myself. Like I talked to my friend Marcel. We did an interview with him he told me last year he hated himself from his physical appearance to the shit that was going on right now. And I know I feel the same. I know you told me the same thing. My friend Matt.
Last year, I dropped my manager. My fucking car got totaled because I took this girl out on a date for like the first time in like 2 years, and this dude, like one of her exes, pulled up, poured water down my gas tank, and that had to push back like the whole project that I was anticipating on dropping because like all of my finances had to get thrown into buying a new car.
I remember we went on tour last year, a little mini Florida tour. You were eating man was literally eating beans out of a fucking
beans
can
and mac and cheese out of a can and sleeping on a hammock, bro.
Because he said that he was saving your album.
Shout out Baby G though, because that dude broke the mold for me because I was a little like shy like bitch at the time, and he was like, yo, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like we're all people here, like no one's special, like just be yourself. Shout out Baby G.
That's dope.
I remember you like. I think that's the first time I looked at you. I was like, yeah, this guy really like he has it, and he really wants to do this shit. When we were all eating like Wawa and shit, like eating. I mean, it was Wawa, it's still cheap, but we were all eating sandwiches and cookies and shit after the show.
Oh my bro,
and Ivan was eating
budget.
fucking.
I had to pay
beans
to be a part of this tour, dog.
I think you had beans and some cold tortillas.
Yeah, bro.
And you were eating that shit, and I was like, yo, what the fuck you eating? He's like, I'm on a budget. I gotta report.
I didn't even have a spoon, bro. I was literally like drinking that shit out of the can.
Because I know I'm super committed.
Have a spoon.
I was like bending the lid, like using that shit as a spoon.
Yeah.
No one could get Ivan a spoon, dog.
I guess so.
Dog.
I think he didn't use a spoon for aesthetic reasons. Like he's like, here I am eating a can of beans,
and
I'm using the fucking can as a fucking spoon, about to cut my lip open.
It was all for the image.
How'd you cut your lip eating beans for fucking dinner?
Why'd you have to cancel your tour? I cut my lip on some beans, bro.
This man's eating beans.
But no, yeah, it was definitely
So you got
life's been a struggle.
Yeah, so life was bad last. It wasn't bad. It wasn't what you wanted last year.
Yeah.
You got them. You dropped your manager. You found some new people that help you out with your music in your life. You got a girlfriend now.
Yeah.
Right. Shout out to your girlfriend. Want to talk about her?
My girlfriend. She's just super dope. She's like this cosmic. Like she's like super into astrology and stuff, and she like low key like helps me because she just like it's crazy. I always was like the person that's like, oh, like astrology, like tarot card readings, like that's just like bullshit. And then like she started like showing me like in depth like circular like charts and like all of the placements on it, and then like the time of the year, and like this is why like this shit's happening, and like all of this stuff. And like I'm very convinced that like a lot of things aren't coincidences like as much as like we think they are now. Like there definitely is a higher power, like whatever it is, but it's mostly it's the stars, you know, like we're in this galaxy and like we're just like this blip. But she's definitely like opened my eyes to like accept that like life is eternally fucked, and that like I can't really like do anything about like anything outside of like myself, and that like doing the internal work for me, like to make myself a better person, is gonna make everybody else around me better. And like those people who can't get better, they're gonna fall out, and that's gonna like someone else is gonna step in that's better than them, you know. And like that's ultimately like what got me here.
Yeah. I didn't always believe like the whole tarot card shit. I got my palms read one time, and it was kind of accurate.
Bro, let my girl give you a tarot card reading, bro, tonight. I guarantee you, like, it'll fucking like it'll rock your world.
I'm scared as
some
to like
people,
what,
some people do that.
That's what a lot of people say.
Though.
And that's first before I got my palms read. That's what I was kind of on that fence. Like I was afraid to hear what the person was gonna say.
Well, it's never like a futuristic thing. Like this, and this is gonna happen. It's more of like, you know, like you need to look at your life, and like these cards are like saying like this is either good or this is bad.
And that's what the person told me. So you gotta look at it like that. You can't look at it as like what I'm saying is absolute truth, because nothing is absolute truth. Like you could still change your path. Like you whatever you if she tells you, yo, this is what's gonna happen, you're gonna fail at this, you can still change your path. Like what they're saying is not the absolute truth, but it can give you a lot of insight and a lot of thoughts as what you think if you actually, what I think is good for is like assuring you that you're on the right path.
Yeah.
Or assuring that you're on, or if you think you're on the wrong path.
Yeah.
I think that's what it did for me. Like
if you're not like into psychedelics, you should definitely be into tarot card readings.
When I got my palms read, like it definitely assured me that I was on the right path. Like I asked them about my career wise. They said that they said that I see you doing something in what you're already doing.
Yeah.
And they said they saw a big promotion for me. And at the time, coming up at the time, I was trying to get the bartender position at my job right now, and I ended up getting it. They said that a couple relationships that I was in at the time weren't good ones, like friendships and people in my life weren't good ones, and some people have left my life since then. So like they were pretty accurate, you know what I mean? So like, and everything was accurate, but I walked away from it like not a believer, but like a semi-believer.
It's more so like
Jose's
just like
a skeptic, a
yeah,
fat skeptic. He's a hard skeptic.
But it's more so just to like check in with your life and like also realize that like you have control over like these predicaments and like whatever. Like
it also could have been I was
reflecting
drunk as
on.
fuck on Bourbon Street and I just like, oh my god, this is so fucking lit.
Yeah, that's usually the things that like if you're not like inherently like into that stuff, like and someone sees like that shit, if you're drunk or like off of some sort of like drug or whatever, like you're gonna be interested in that because like your subconscious like does want.
Well, I was more interested in the fact that they were able to say things without me telling them. Like they were like, we see lights and venues, we see music. I'm like, oh shit, like they actually like that's some crazy fucking shit.
Yeah, it's very insightful.
That's
it's very
sick.
wild.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. And my girl actually met me at an event. Like that's how like that shit like happened. I don't know how you and your girl met.
We met. We worked together.
Oh, you worked together?
Yeah.
Okay.
But she didn't fuck with me when we first met though. She didn't like me at all.
Yeah. That's how it is. My girlfriend didn't fuck with me either because I was a little fuckboy.
She was mean as fuck to me.
Yeah, that's how it works, though.
So you and your girl met. So she met you as a rapper. She knew you're a rapper already.
Yeah.
So how was that dynamic when she knew you were a rapper? And because you know all the girls on Twitter
Is that
like,
a bad stigma?
don't ever date a creative. Don't ever date an entertainer. Don't ever date a rapper.
Yeah, it was at first. It was super. It was super sketchy for her just because like my mind wasn't like in the best place when we
Did
first
you ever tell her
met.
like, yo, I actually in real life I get no hoes. Like don't worry about that. Like,
no, I didn't say that. I don't really know how like deep I can go into this, but like all I can say is that when we first met, like I definitely was like super transparent with her because like that's like a big like value for me is like being transparent and upfront.
That's good.
And like when we first met, I was like, yo, like you're not the only person like I'm trying to see right now. And then like as I started seeing other people and then like going back to her, I was like, man, like this girl's like really fucking rocking my world like compared to like all these other girls out here. So all the other girls kind of fell to the wayside, and then I was just like, oh, I guess like like this is really good. Like it wasn't like it's good for me, and I think that's like something that people really overlook because people want like that picture perfect like relationship like IG like whatever
on,
you
like,
know.
the outside.
It's not
They want to like front and like be like, oh, like we poppin', but like yo, like let's like really like enjoy our time together and like not just do the shit for the gram, and like that's something that I really rock with her. Like we definitely like try to like not be on our phones a lot and stuff, and like she always be nagging me because especially this week because I've been trying to like run this whole promo scheme with the event, but she's always nagging me about being on my phone, and I really appreciate that because
being on your phone.
What?
Like being on your phone constantly?
Yeah, bro. But this week especially because I've just been trying to run like all these promo schemes and stuff, but yeah, we read like this digital detox stuff. We really like challenge each other, and I think like that's like if your partner like isn't like trying to like challenge you like to get you not necessarily like change completely, but just like get you to like think differently about certain things. Yeah, to be better. Like you're not with the right fucking person. Like you need to drop that person and like wait till like.
Well, I know a certain somebody that's sitting behind the camera that loves to critique everything I say on the podcast.
Yeah.
So
that's important.
That's always important.
She the MVP.
Digital detox. What's the fuck is that?
I fuck with that.
Digital detox. Talk about that.
Is that like getting off the internet?
It talks about like.
Is that a book?
Yeah, it's a book. It's a book. It talks about like how social media was created for and like we didn't really know like what it could do at the time.
Right.
So
it's facts.
And now it's like we're finding out that it's causing like all this anxiety, like these comparison things, and like like whatever, like all of these fucking issues. And then people like also have FOMO, like they feel like they can't like if you're not online, like you're not live. But it's just like yo, like 100 years ago before the internet like existed, like yo, like
nobody was live.
Like Instagram was like going to the fucking coffee shop and like talking to people about what you did the day before, like. But now it's like, oh, we gotta take a pic, and like it was crazy because like I've just been like following like the sheep, whatever, like with this technology and all of that, and then like after reading that book, like I go places and I'm like, yo, like this moment is so beautiful that I don't even want to capture it on my phone, because like that in itself takes away from like the moment. And then like once I realize I'm in like that sort of moment, I look around, everybody's on their phone like trying to videotape it, and I'm just like, man, like it's cool.
It's
like
cool,
I
but it's not even in the moment.
but it's like, you know, like that takes you out of it, like, you know, it takes you out of like, you know, real life, and like puts you like into this like virtual shit that where like you're trying to like flex about whatever you're doing, and it's just like, yo, like don't flex about it, like just fucking do it.
I have a did you want to say something? I have a real split opinion, and I talked to her about this, about like the whole like being on your phone and it being toxic thing, because I feel like I'm a weird person when it comes to that, because I'm constantly on my phone. Like Ross, you know, she knows, anybody knows.
But it's
knows,
a business for you at the end of the day.
On my phone, like,
but it's a business. Like that's how you're gonna end up making your money.
Yeah,
which
and
is like I have to draw that line with my girlfriend.
And
too.
there's a joke in my job. Like, my bar manager, even though she might hear it, like I don't even know she's not really too fond of her, but she jokes about it all the time. Like, oh, you're always on your phone, and my manager's like, oh, you're always on your phone, and it's a joke now. But I literally look at it like, damn, I always am on my phone. I realize like I really am, but like I'm not a social media person. It's kind of weird. Like, I don't know if you follow.
No,
my
you're not.
page,
You're
like,
definitely not.
I don't post stories.
You're not
I
doing
don't post a lot of shit like that.
You're funny,
like,
bro, because you're like, bro, your stories are always mad long. You're always talking shit about.
Oh yeah, you're
like, bro, you got a fucking centipede, dog.
The centipede. Yeah, that's what you fucking call it, for real. You're a centipede guy. Like, I do look at you're like Zali.
Like, bro,
you and Zali
that's
are
too long to
centipedes,
click
guys.
through, bro.
And it's funny because like you and Zali are two of the artists that I work with, and like you guys are both centipede guys, and it's like that's a good term. I like that term. I'll use that term now. But like it's like I try to like keep track of what the fuck y'all are doing. It's like you want to keep track of what the people you're working with are doing, but it's like when you guys post that shit every fucking day, it's like I can't keep track of all that. Like it's
like,
funny because
if you went through my story today, bro, there's 63 mentions like in my story, but that's because I'm doing this whole.
So the whole social media thing, like I was saying, it's a weird thing because it's like you want to get off your phone. But
it's a balance,
like, but it's a balance. It's like I do want to get off my phone, but at the same time, like I'm on Twitter. I be on Twitter and Instagram, and I don't even posting shit. I'm just like scoping, figure out what's going on, looking at shit, seeing who's interacting.
Trying to stay informed.
We bet on sports. We talk about that on the podcast. We talk about it on the podcast a lot.
Don't get into that shit.
We bet on sports.
Don't get into
that. I don't watch sports.
I'm constantly watching sports.
I used to.
I'm constantly watching sports all the fucking time. So like it's like I'm not really like a social media person. But like I'm always hooked on my phone, so it's like a weird thing for me. But I definitely can see how like a digital detox could be a great thing, because like social media, that shit fucks. Like I've felt to my own self, like you feel like you're not, like you feel like you said the FOMO, or you feel like you gotta post everything, or you feel like you're not really doing anything unless you post.
You're not staying relevant, like your numbers aren't going up or whatever. Like
I kind of got the idea of like I kind of am into this, like I don't like when I go somewhere I don't really post it as much. Because I also feel like it's gotten to the point where it's kind of corny. Because like now it's like everybody does the same type of post. Like if you're at let's say you're at the wharf, like everybody's gonna post like the fucking signature to like the lights or one of the key bars at the wharf. Let's say you're at the show, at the Xavier Wolf show, you're gonna post like the Xavier Wolf flyer. Everybody does the same fucking shit. Yeah. So now it's like
it's all sheep, bro.
Now it's like how you not look like. Now it's like how you do it without looking corny. So it's even.
No, I get you.
A different thing.
Yeah, but it's crazy though, because it just the book really like opens your eyes to like how these companies like don't have your best, like your health, like your mental health, like in mind. Like they literally want you to be addicted to this shit, and like they want you to feel like the rush that you get when you're gambling on sports is the same rush that you get when like you swipe down to reload like your feed. You know, it's literally the same sort of dopamine that's like going in your brain. Like scientifically, like speaking, like CT scanning like the brain and everything, it breaks it like all down like that, and like it's just like it's like wow, like these companies like we're the product, because the longer that we stay on like their social media like domain or whatever, like the more targeted ads they can send towards us, and like the more like things that they can show us that they think that we're interested in, but in turn like they make money because people are targeting ads at us and we end up buying things.
But don't you think that's the basis of every product though?
It's the basis of every product, but
to create a product that ultimately everybody needs.
But there's also a line, you know, like there's a line, like how much money do you really need? You know, Jeff Bezos is worth like $150 billion or some shit, probably even more now. But it's just
I thought it was like two.
And like I did some calculation the other day. I looked up how many like employees they had or whatever, and like I calculated like his self worth. Like if he got rid of all of his money, which isn't like reasonable, everybody in his company can make $200,000 like a year. Yeah, if he got rid of a little bit, everybody in his company can make $60,000 a year.
But like you said, that's a great thing, but that's not a reasonable thing to ask.
But even if he got rid of 50, he got rid of $50 billion, all of his employees could make $60,000 a year.
Yeah, but at the same time,
and then he'd still have $100 billion at the end of the day.
And the thing is, he owns Whole Foods, he owns the Washington Post, he owns Amazon. Like he has assets. Like he doesn't.
They're gonna break it up eventually.
He doesn't
the
need to
doesn't allow monopolies like that.
He doesn't need to just chill on fucking all this. Like
there was some calculation saying like he had to.
Actually,
he would
your
have to
net
spend,
worth
like,
accounts for that. Like
he would have to spend like over like a certain like million like dollars a day. Like he could spend that much money and he wouldn't go broke. Essentially. Like it's crazy because like I'm like, yo, I got like $3 in my pocket. Like, can I get a coffee?
Not at Starbucks.
Well, I think, see, like Ross knows, I like to play devil's advocate and just create conversation. I think that the issue, the what you're saying is an issue. I think it could be an issue, but it's also the one of the great things about like growing in America and living in America, because
it's definitely changing though.
We could be Jeff Bezos. You know what I mean? Like, not saying the chances are happening is not, but like, the fact that you could, and like that not the government, but the economy is what
set up to
why you
can
can flourish.
But the way that society's heading though is like people are starting to question like, yo, which is why like all of these like Hollywood like pervs are like getting like booted out and shit like that, is like people are really starting to question like, what is my money contributing to?
Yeah.
You know, like Harvey Weinstein and like all of these like crazy like sexual assault cases and like trying to like cancel shit like that. Like, I'm not like necessarily for like cancel culture, but like, yo, like your dollars, like whatever you're spending money on, like that gives whatever you're spending the money on like life, you know? And if you're giving money to a shitty person, like the outcome is going to be shitty. But if you're giving money to a good person, the outcome could still be shitty because people fuck up all the time. But like you're making a more calculated bet that because this person is good, that they're going to make a good decision with the money that you give them.
Or your money can just, go to fucking Jeff Bezos' wife if you support Amazon.
Bro, Jeff Bezos, they got divorced, right? They got divorced,
yeah,
bro.
She's
gonna make like fucking $75 billion, bro.
Did you see I didn't watch it, but like I seen a clip of his like Ricky Gervais hosted the Golden Globes. I don't know if you saw it. Like
that's that British dude, right?
Yeah,
he started like calling out everybody.
He went off on the whole entire culture.
Yeah,
he was
bro,
basically
he better have a security detail now, because I bet you there's poking hits out on his name, bro.
He just said some like, he was like, yo, like Apple owns a streaming service now, like Amazon has streaming, like all this stuff, all these like big companies that own the streaming. He's like, y'all work for them and they run sweatshops in China and fucking abuse.
They literally have like suicide nets outside of the factories that they work.
He's like, yeah, they abuse their employees. Like they do terrible.
Crazy, bro.
He's like, the people that you work for do terrible things. So don't come up here, accept your award, and say some political shit, because y'all have no place to say that.
That was like someone I saw like this thing on Coachella or whatever, where like it says like if you break down Coachella by like the music industry or whatever. And like it showed like all of the different like record labels and like distribution companies that were involved. So like Beyonce's name's right at the top, and it like has like the company that she's affiliated with. Yeah. And it's literally like 5 different companies that are like all getting booked at Coachella. Mm-hmm. And it's like it's all controlled, like all censored type shit that like you never would like think about. But like it's like, yo, like these people are making very calculated moves. Like,
but that's not. I mean, but you got if you don't know that, you're just being blind. You're just being blind, honestly.
I mean,
like, if you
don't
don't
know,
think that,
I
if you
don't
don't think that Coachella is ran by, if you don't think that it's that Rolling Loud's the same exact way,
yeah,
like,
but like
Rolling
I don't
Loud
look into like people don't look into that shit. They just see that little Uzi Vert or like Beyonce's.
Okay, so I'm not 100% sure.
I don't think the general public thinks about it.
No,
we think about it.
If you're in industry, you want to be in industry, you should definitely know how that's like. I'm not saying you're misinformed because you're like that, but like so Rolling Loud. I'm not saying exactly how Rolling Loud works, but I'm pretty sure it works somewhere like this. Like they were bought up by Live Nation, right?
Yeah.
So it started off as Dope ENT. They were bought up by Live Nation.
When they were bought up by Live Nation,
when they were bought up by Live Nation, I don't know which year it was. I'm probably sure it was probably the second or third year. I don't know exactly when it happened, but you saw a substantial
Bayfront year, I think.
A substantial increase in what they did. Like okay, so they went from whatever venue they were. I don't know what it was, Mana, whatever the fuck
Mana
it was.
Mana was year 2.
Was year 2 to go into Bayfront. That's a big jump in this is a big leap in itself. The money that it takes to go from there in itself is catastrophic. You know what I mean? Yeah. Again, I don't know exact numbers. I'm speaking off the top of my head, but the lineup itself. But then you got to look at this. Like if you look at all the artists of where their lineup or where they're signed to, or where they ultimately go to, it leads back to the same place. Who they tour with, it goes back to Live Nation. A lot of them do. If you look at where their albums drop, a lot of artists drop albums and fucking around Rolling Loud. Look when Uzi drops specifically. Uzi tends to always try to drop something or do something really big around the time when Rolling Loud comes up. I don't know if that's just a coincidence, but I feel like it's not. Like when he did, what was it? Which one? When the Food Sauce Shuffle came out, what was that? A couple month and a half ago? Yeah. Like wasn't there Rolling Loud around there when that came up?
He did LA or Bay
Area, one of those. Like so, Rolling Loud is just. I know that it's happening with Rolling Loud because I've heard the talks like behind the scenes. Like so, it does not surprise me to know that Coachella is being ran by, let's say, Pepsi or whatever the case may be, or PepsiCo, whatever the company is, and all these companies, these big ass corporations, and that these artists who have ads with them, like Beyonce, are the ones that are headlining these festivals. It's all you don't get that type of money or get to that type of level.
But that's where like it kind of like goes back to the whole thing where like nothing is really a coincidence, and it's really I don't like to call myself like a conspirator, but like
You're a conspiracy.
Yeah, probably. Low key though, like the government does like have a
You're
hand.
right. You're
the
right.
government does have a hand in like, you know, what they are feeding us, like auditory wise, like the music that we listen to, like the mainstream music and all of that. They're sending this message to like the broad majority of like this country, saying like, have a good time. Don't think about tomorrow. Like da 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 da. Like the same narrative.
Yeah.
Like just have a good time like right now. But like don't think about like, you know, the life expectancy for like the average human being is like 60 to 70 years in this country. But like they're telling you to like live it up in your 20s, not give a fuck about anything else. Like, and that's not a very like longevity. Like, yeah, it irks me because I'm like, yo, like it's great to have a great time right now. Like don't get me wrong. I want to drink. I want to like pop tabs. I want to smoke weed and all of that. But like, yo, like moderation is a very fucking like thing that they are not talking about, because that doesn't continue like having money flow through the economy the way that it does, because they want you to consume everything that you see, because
my thing was
what has money flow through it.
My thing with conspiracies and conspirators is that like a lot of times it's not as like weird as people make it. I feel like it's not as weird as some people make it sound.
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Some people be like, oh, it's not that black and white. You gotta look deeper. I'm like, no, bro. Sometimes it actually is that black and white. Like you just gotta understand. Like this is how, not understand, or you don't have to accept it, but you sometimes you just gotta realize like this is just how some shit works.
Yeah.
Like this is.
But there's something to be said about like how every single politician in Congress is like literally paid off.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like and how we continue to like go through this electoral college and like not question it.
No, it's nonsense.
You know, like we don't question anything. We're just like, oh, we're gonna vote, even though our vote doesn't count. Like we're just gonna vote. You know, like
it's cool. It's
but
fun.
like and we even get taught like in government. Like I remember in high school, bro, I was so pissed when Dr. Mutter was like talking to me and he's like, yo, like the electoral college decides like who the president is. Your vote doesn't count. Your vote is a suggestion for the electoral college, but they don't have to listen to it. And I was like, the fuck? And I was like, I don't even want to vote.
It's not that it's a suggestion.
You know?
Isn't it that like you have to get a certain amount of mandatory votes to win electoral votes, right? Is that how it works?
No, it's not. Those people can make the decision at the end of the day. And there's also gerrymandering too, where like they try to like make certain districts like there's like 20 more like Democrats in this district, so they cut it off to where like those 20 like Democrats aren't there, and then like the Republicans like end up winning like that district or whatever. Like it's just there's so many like loopholes in like the society that we live in that people like don't think about, and it's just like that's why nothing's changing, and that's why like we continue to like trod down this path of like violence, war, destruction, and like live today, don't think about tomorrow. Which like has caused me major anxiety over the years, and like I've had to like think a lot less, you know, about, you know. But that's definitely something that's like way like deep like in the back of my mind, and very much at the surface like when I create the music that I make, because I don't fuck with that like I don't fuck with that at all. Like that's literally like the complete opposite of like what I try to tell people.
Yeah. So what can we expect from Ivan and Hippy 2020?
2020 we can expect a single every month. We can expect a visual with every single single.
Oh.
We can expect a release
a song
event.
and a video.
Yeah, we can
What
expect
you doing
a
tonight?
release event. We going to Cava and Bonita to fucking have a lit ass show. I don't like toot my own horn, but last year when I dropped my album at Cava, that was the most profitable night that they've ever had. So like I definitely do have some pull in this area, and I have a brain in the back of my head that actually
Toot your own
like,
horn, dog. Give yourself
yeah,
a
bro.
flower.
No,
Toot
like,
your
I
own
set
horn
this shit
while
up, you know, like I'm up everybody's ass that's performing this week, like telling them like, yo, you need to be posting about this shit, because this is an opportunity for all of us, and we can make this a lot bigger than like who we are, you know? Because like when a collective of people come together, you pull in like networks from like all different places, and then you end up like popping, which is why like today like I got covered by a blog that I've never seen before. It's because someone that's in this network that is like promoting the show with me is getting my information out there to them, and I benefit from it, but like so do they, because now they're gonna be at a show where a lot of people that don't know them are going to be at, and then it's just cross networking and like continually like trying to replicate it without necessarily doing the same thing every time. It's very challenging. I'm sure you know, because like you do all this like event shit, you know. Definitely. And like your market's crazy. So like here, like I feel like it's almost easier to get a show going because there's not a lot of shows going on. You know, like you like in Miami, bro. Like there's like 20 shows going on a night. Like there's so many fucking venues. It's so watered down.
That doesn't even include the fucking.
And that doesn't include underground
that doesn't
shit.
include
Like that's
the
like
fucking Bad
like,
Bunny concert and then fucking salsa night down the street and then fucking rock night at Churchill's and
people like and that's why like bro, that's why
all
like
the various clubs at Wynwood and then Patio and all that other shit going on.
Mainstream artists are like artists that aren't like fucking like massive, you know, like that can't sell out arenas. They never like go all the way down into Florida, and people get pissed, bro. They're like what? But it's because like the markets down there are I hate to say it, but they're almost watered down. You know, there's just so
It's
much.
a really weird market in
There's
Miami.
so
It's
much
like if you
going
can't
on.
sell-
There's so much going on
Yeah.
that like you can't really like anticipate how many tickets you're gonna sell on an event because
If you can't sell, I would say this: if you can't sell an arena, or you can't sell a decent sized venue in Miami, then
like Revolution Live.
Revolution
Yeah.
Live or Space or the ground at Space or like a decent warehouse or an arena or like the Fillmore or the AAA at that. If you're not any of those artists like from
And
anywhere
those,
from those
for the record, those
then-
artists that are doing it are like Puya scale.
then you're better. Then obviously you're better off not coming. But then the only artists who can do a show in Miami would be the artists that are like not I hate saying the SoundCloud rappers like that, but the artists that are super underground, they could sell out like they could do a show. They're cool with doing shows in small ass shitty venues.
Yeah.
But nobody in between is gonna do a show there.
No,
like
no.
anybody that's doing like decent venues, like how a lot of traditional venues up north are, like 200 cap, 250 cap. They're not gonna be able to do shows
Like
in
Soundbar.
Miami.
Like Soundbar. You
like,
do Soundbar in Orlando,
Yeah.
you're not going to go to Miami.
And that's the
try
reason
to
why
book
a lot of
venue
venues like
Soundbar
while there is no sound bar in Miami,
Yeah.
they have the space, the ground space. They have warehouses that are bigger than sound bar, and then they have venues that are super or way smaller than sound bar. There's really no in between because there's really no market for anybody that's in between. I mean, there is, but there isn't. Like you have to really promote the fuck out of your event and really do really well and have some people in some certain circles to help you.
You gotta have some
to
techie
really
people,
to
bro.
really help you do it.
Some techie people that understand social
like,
media.
Exactly. Like I've seen, like example, I brought in Young Pinch on here, and the show was
CB helped you
alright.
out with that, you
Yeah,
said that.
yeah.
Shout
CB
out
helped us on
CB.
tickets.
Shout out CB.
Like I've seen people book like even valet. I've seen my boys do a valet show down here that wasn't amazing. You know what I mean? Like
no, that wasn't the show that I helped out.
Yeah.
That was the Swerve Presents people, right? Or no?
No, that was my
No.
boys
That
at
was the other
Susanoo.
Young Pinch show, though, right? There was a second Young Pinch
Yeah,
show, and I
yeah,
came
yeah.
out and like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
ended up like just like checking people in for that. For
Yeah,
that show.
that's when you were helping me with. Yeah,
I made like
with.
I made like $50 that night. I was so
Yeah.
happy.
He was working the door. So
That's a lot of cans of
it's
beans.
a weird
right
market.
there.
Yeah,
It's a weird market.
that's a lot of cans of beans.
Yeah,
Dog.
that's a lot of cans of beans.
I was set for
That's
a
a month worth
dog.
of beans for
Yeah,
sure.
bro, I was
$50. Shit, I spent $50 in like 2 sittings of food. Sometimes it's crazy. Food's so expensive.
Yeah, bro.
I think that's where most of my money goes to. That's definitely where the
For
most of my money
sure.
goes
It's,
to.
I mean,
food.
you need that shit to live. Like,
food and this fucking alcohol. That's where all my money goes.
That's a fact.
So tonight, you want to talk about tonight a little more, or anything
Tonight,
else you want to talk about
bro.
before we sign off?
before we sign off.
Before we sign
I'll
off-
never like fuck people or like fuck this, fuck that. But since we are in my hometown, like blogs that are in this area that tend to overlook me. I'm not saying fuck y'all, but y'all are really fucking sleeping because I'm about to do some really crazy shit tonight. And I did the same shit last year when I dropped my album. And the same blog that's not looking at me is still not looking at me. And it's probably because I talk shit about them at the end of the day. But but Curate definitely doesn't show love for me. And they like to put on that they're for like the whole culture in the area. And Ivan the Hippy is well embedded in the culture in this area. And they tend to overlook that all the time. I remember I'm literally going to say everything. I had an interview with Curate. Like we came and like filmed it and everything. And Malik kept on like trying to like get at like the info that I had about like Dominic Fike, like Backhouse and all of that. And I think he figured out through that interview that I wasn't like as close to them as he thought I was. And then he ended up saying that like he lost all the footage, but he never was trying to like run back another interview. There was also like on record where like they're talking, like they brought my name up and they're like, oh, Ivan the Hippy, he's a really nice dude, but his music, which granted they're not hearing the music that like I have like in my fucking vault that I'm going to be releasing this year, but it's just I don't fuck with people who claim that they're for the culture and then don't talk about like things that are happening like that are positive in the community. Like I'm about to put on a dope ass event tonight with like a really good set list of artists and vendors and not only like just like generic vendors or like whatever. Like I have like Domini Foods like coming out, like or Domi Vegan Foods coming out. That's Jams. He's a photographer who works with 1AM.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's worked with you at all. But
I know Jams.
yeah,
He's
James
fire.
is a dope ass photographer, but he's bringing out vegan food. You know, like that's something that's a reflection of me because I'm vegetarian.
Dope.
There's also Green Bites coming out. Like that's a whole nother like vegan bakery. Like they do like all of that shit too.
Is there any non-vegan food that's
Sometimes there's like a food truck that pulls up, and I'm not sure
Just
if
eat
like
some
that's gonna
vegan
happen
shit,
tonight.
Jose.
You know?
Just try it.
Yeah,
dog.
bro.
You'll like
but
it.
but it's
fire.
it's fire, you know, and I'm trying to do things very differently, and I think people look at that and not necessarily that they're intimidated by it, but they don't know if it's going to catch on. So like people are always
they don't
trying
wanna
to
associate
people want to
themselves
hop
with
on
it.
waves, you know.
Yeah,
They want to
of
do
course.
what's popular, and like 10 years from now, 5 years from now, because my plan isn't like to get big quick. My plan is to get big and stay big, you know. something sustainable, like not here today, gone tomorrow type shit. And like when these blogs in this area that have been ignoring me catch on, it's gonna be way too late, and I'm just gonna give them a big like not necessarily fuck you, but a big peace sign, and like, you know, like I'm out. Like
you'll miss the flight.
Y'all missed out.
Well, I'll say it. Fuck you, Curate Southwest Florida. You fucking assholes. Fucking ass.
I never heard them until
fuck
today.
you, Curate.
I'll
say it. I said it twice.
Yeah, them and Underviews are probably like the biggest like blogs in this area. Curate is definitely a lot more like less. They're underground, but like they promote like more mainstream underground, if that makes sense. Like I don't really know, but yeah, I love Curate.
No, but I will say like you know, me and you aren't like best buddies. Like I don't know you super well, but
bro. But when I run into you, I love you.
I love you. I do.
Because they use you on acid.
But I've just been seeing you, you know, like do your thing for a couple years now, and there's something to say about people who remain consistent.
That Ox Wars run was super
respectable.
fun.
You know,
I really feel like that really like.
There's just
opened a lot of
something to
people's
say
eyes.
about people who remain consistent and like constantly improve. And like when I first heard your music, I can't say that I absolutely loved it, but like as time progressed, and like I think that like your live sound was way better than your recordings. Like I think your recordings are actually catching up to like what you do live, because like they're just like on a different wave.
Well, that's why I said like that Ox Wars like run really. I feel like that opened your eyes, and a lot of people's eyes to like, you know,
definitely.
what
Dude,
I'm capable
of. A lot of people like I knew what was good, but like now fucking
like I got picked the panelist favorite in every single city, you know, like that shit. And I was the only artist that almost went to every single city. There was a couple artists that tried to get to like 2, 3, you know, but like I went to every single one. And some artists went to every single one and performed the same song each fucking time. I performed a different song every fucking time and got picked as a panelist favorite. Like,
talk your shit, bro.
I'm talking my shit. I got a lot of music coming out this year, and it's about to be so fucking fire, and it's gonna be so different all over the place, vast like variety of sounds and everything. But that's what art is, you know. Like you can't put that shit in a box. Like I'm not just gonna try to like make like the same sound and like continually like profit off of it. Like I'm always continually trying to re-improve myself and like reinvent myself on a daily basis, which is why like not one song ever sounds the same.
Boom.
Heard that.
Cold, hard facts.
Boom.
Dude.
So we're going to wrap things up. Amazing conversation with you, brother, as I expected it to be. Tonight's going to be amazing. No, I would say you have an album coming out today. That's like some radio. It's your new album coming out, but you don't. You say you're dropping a bunch of singles this year, so look out for all Ivan's singles.
No projects. Fuck projects.
Tell everybody where to follow you at. Where to find you.
Follow me everywhere at Ivan the Hippy with a fucking Y, not Hippie. It's Hippy.
No Y.
Ivan, no,
I-E.
it's with a Y.
Oh, with the Y.
It's with a Y. Everybody be
With the
spelling
Y.
my name wrong. And they're like, yo, I can't find you. And I'm like, yo, just put a Y at the end of it. And they're like, oh. But yeah, it's with the Y.
I
And
never
I'm dropping a
spelled
song,
hippie,
bro. I'm
PPI.
dropping a song, and y'all are finally gonna like figure out how to spell my name. And I'm excited to show you. It's actually it's ready to go in my room. I want to show you guys
right now. As again, it's been another amazing episode of Pay Up Podcast. Meet the neighbors.
We
It's your boy,
outside.
Yo Jose. As always, to my left, my brother, my co-host, my right-hand man, Rossi. Amazing conversation with our brother, Ivan the
Shout out
Hippie.
Ivan,
I was
dog.
super excited to get this episode recorded. We've been trying to get this shit recorded for the longest
I don't know if you
time.
can read this, but shout out Saiyan Season.
Victor.
Victor is like a very big inspiration to me in this area, because
Super solid, dude.
he is what Curate should be. He is what blog should be in this area, and he's starting to do like his own like podcasting thing like now on the side and everything. I super fucking appreciate that. But a lot of people, if you don't know who Saiyan Jenka is, Victor,
Absolute
you need to fucking follow him, and you need to take notes because he's doing everything right in this area.
Shout out Victor. Super
Shout out
solid,
Victor.
dude. And shout out to
Pure
our
heart.
followers, listeners, our watchers, subscribers. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, or watch us on YouTube. Head over to the Pay Up Podcast. Shout out to Young Josh behind the lens for the first
Yo.
time. Follow her
Behind
as
the
well.
scenes.
It's been the Pay Up Boys. Once again, we love you guys. You're
You're